You likely know the process of applying for a job, putting in countless resumes, constantly making edits to your resumes, yet to no avail. Nobody's contacting you. Constant automatic emails that consist of rejection letters. And it's just so frustrating. It's like, I have this on my resume. I have good work experience. What's going on? Why can't I land a job? Well, this is exactly why, if you've been in this position and you're a young professional looking to improve upon yourself, you need to continue to stay competitive. And that consists of taking action to make constant improvements. Look, the bottom line is as follows. We live in a hyper-competitive environment right now, in which it is terrifyingly difficult to even land an interview. To your point, I was thinking what you just said, that I better start adding things to my resume, because this is a hyper-competitive market in which there are so many applicants, and these recruiters don't have the time. They just do a brief scan of your application, and if something doesn't pop out right away, it's trash on to the next one. And this is the harsh reality of it, Dr. McDaniel.
Yeah. About 7 seconds per resume is what the average recruiter spends. 7 seconds.
And landing the interview doesn't even guarantee you the job, obviously. Now it's a long, arduous interviewing process where you need to be compelling and be prepared and be ready to speak upon your skills and qualifications. And there are many other candidates that the company is interviewing. People who are doing the same thing you're doing, trying to get the job, trying to sell themselves. It is just such a hyper-competitive environment nowadays. Now with the proliferation of AI and the disruption that has caused, and you're competing against just innumerable applicants who have educational backgrounds, who have work experiences, who might even have networks in place that aid them in landing jobs. So it's incumbent upon yourself to continue to improve upon your resume and improve and build upon your skills. And that's why the MBA is important. It's that added layer to your resume. It's that extra dimension to your resume that will aid you in standing out. And it will aid you in landing interviews. And it will aid you in the interview as well because of the educational fortitude and the educational background that it will provide. So there are many reasons as to why you should obtain it. And if you're someone who's thinking about it, then I would urge you to do it because it's a very broad degree. It's not like a computer engineering degree or a nursing degree, which those are fantastic degrees, but they're hyper-specific. They're for a specific line of work, whereas the MBA can be for many different functions and lines of work. And again, most importantly and most notably, it's that added component that separates you. When a recruiter's looking at your resume, it's that thing that stands out that the other 10 to 15 resumes she just looked at, probably more, but this is just a hypothetical, didn't have. So when people ask me, is an MBA worth it? I look at it like this. It absolutely is, because it's something to add to your resume that can help you stand out. Because the reality is we live in a hyper-competitive environment. And I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, home of Silicon Valley, home of big tech. And these jobs are so hyper-competitive. You're putting an application with hundreds, oftentimes thousands of other applicants. And these other applicants have qualifications. They have networks in place. So you have to be constantly improving upon yourself. And it's challenging because you have a full-time job, you might have a family or personal obligations, and it's hard to make room for something like an MBA that's going to be a time commitment. But this is where you have to sacrifice. Because in an ever-changing, hyper-competitive environment, this is what is required. You need to keep adding to your resume. And an MBA is that one thing, again, not many people have it. It's under 10% of the workforce. I believe about 5 to 6% of the total U.S. workforce. So it's that added dimension that can help you stand out. And that's what it's about. It's about being called for that interview. Then that way it gives you that opportunity to sell yourself, to show up prepared, and to finally land that job that you know you've been waiting for. Now it's hard. I was just doing an MBA with a full-time job, and I'd be lying to say it wasn't challenging and it wasn't stressful. There were times where it felt a little bit overwhelming, but there's a way to go about it where it's not so inundating, where you can do it and still have your other ducks in a row, meaning you can do it and still make time for family, still make time for hobbies and things you enjoy to do. So I've discussed the first reason already as to why the MBA is worthwhile. And the first reason is because simply it helps you stand out amid thousands of other applicants. It's that added component to your resume that most people don't have. Again, only about 5 to 6%, certainly less than 10%, I can say that with certitude, of the total US workforce have obtained that degree. Now, when you look at certain subsets of the US workforce, for example, more specifically, the executive level, the C-suite, well, many of them have it. And that's another reason why you should have it, because if you're a hyper ambitious person with maybe you're not quite there yet, but you have goals and aspirations of getting there, then that's a degree that you want to have. Because if you look at the executives and the C-suite personnel, many of them have it. Now, I can speak for myself that after I procured the MBA and added it to my resume, I noticed an uptick in interviews. I noticed I was being requested and invited to more interviews. And not just more interviews, but interviews that paid more management opportunities, higher salary jobs. So this is the way in which I would quantify if it's worth it. Now, I don't have the numbers. I don't have the numbers where I can say I applied for this many jobs before the MBA and I got called for this many interviews out of those jobs I applied for, and here's the data after the MBA. But I can tell you with certainty that I was being invited to more interviews after the MBA. Now, I still got rejected. It's not some cure-all where once you obtain it, every employer's dying to speak with you. But it is, again, and not to belabor this point, but it's just of paramount importance that it's that added dimension to your resume. And you need to be adding to your resume, again, in an ever-changing, ever-evolving, hyper-competitive environment. You need to keep adding to your resume to stay competitive, to stay above the needle. Now, the second reason as to why you should procure an MBA is more educationally focused. It's more academically focused. It's that an MBA gives you a very well-rounded education that's so broadly applicable to many different job functions. It's not like a computer science engineering degree or a nursing degree or something hyper-specific. And those are fantastic degrees, great jobs. But those are very specific. You obtain that degree to be a very specific profession. Whereas an MBA is very broadly applicable. And now you can argue there's some pros and cons to this. Maybe it's not quite as practical as something like a engineering degree or a nursing degree. And those are just examples. But it's still very practical, I would argue. And again, it broadly applies to a variety of different business functions and lines of work. Furthermore, the education that you gain in the MBA program, such as the strategic thinking, finance and accounting, leadership and management, marketing and branding, operations and supply chain, capital markets, economics and business environment, communication and presentation skills, the networking component, Microsoft Excel and PowerPoint. These are all things that are going to help you directly in your job. And they're going to make you more confident because now you've advanced your understanding around these incredibly important aspects of business. It will make you more confident. Employers will see that. Now, I will make more videos with regards to the educational component of the MBA and why it's worth it from that standpoint. But this is really just a general video about why the MBA is worth it. And those are the two reasons that come to mind. That it's going to make you stand out in a hyper-competitive environment. It will certainly help in landing interviews and giving yourself more opportunities. Secondly, the educational aspect will make you more confident. It will make you better at your job, irregardless of what that job is and what business function you're a part of. Because again, it is so broadly applicable. It will help you if you're HR. It will help you if you're in supply chain, operations, project management, finance and accounting, so on and so forth. You get a very well-rounded, refined education with regards to business. And more importantly, to corporate business. You need to think about if the MBA is worth it for you. Now, I would argue it likely is. If you're watching this video and you have a 9-to-5, maybe a white-collar corporate job, I would argue it is. If right now you merely have a bachelor's degree, you just have an undergraduate degree, you should get the MBA. again, it's a very broadly applicable, advanced, highly regarded degree that will make your resume shine and also add value to your skill set, advance your skills. But something like the MBA does not come without thought, that you need to think about if the pursuit is manageable for you and if it's worth it. It's expensive. It's time consuming. Now, there are ways to procure an MBA nowadays that are more cost effective. There's many different cost effective routes in these online accelerated programs, and there are many different ways to research and to look into. And I will make more videos about those shortly. I'm someone who obtained it online in an accelerated program. But these are things that you need to think about. But I will also add that people oftentimes make excuses. And I know that because I've made excuses before. Oh, it's not worth it. It's expensive. I'm going to get it and it's not going to help me much. Who needs an MBA? It's not worth my time or the money. It's a waste of money. I'm going to go in debt. And why would I want to go in further debt? Is it really going to help me landing that next job or getting the promotion I want? So people are always going to make excuses. And it's not that these are all just, I'm writing them off as they're solely excuses. Because they're not. I mean, some of this is some rational thinking that is appropriate when somebody is going to make a big purchase or partake in something that's going to necessitate a lot of their time. These are rational thoughts. But I've just seen it from online communities, and I know it for myself, that people are always making excuses because they know it's going to require a lot of time and energy and focus and dedication and sacrifice. But see, there's a payoff at the end. And that's what should motivate you and propel you to make the right decision. It's not easy, but again, nothing good in life is going to come easy. It's always going to require your time, attention, and effort. Blood, sweat, and tears. So if you're somebody who's thinking about doing the MBA, I really recommend that you pursue it and just start it. Of course, think about the things that matter most, about how this is going to work in your schedule from a time management standpoint, about the financial aspect of this. Of course, think about these things, weigh these things out, be calculated in your decision. It's going to make you more competitive. It will make you better at your job. It will give you more advanced skills and more refined skills. So thank you for watching The Latter End. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, any personal experiences, please comment below. Because we would love to hear from you. I know I would love to hear from you. Of people who are thinking about it, maybe they have questions, those who procured it, what their journeys were like. I would love to hear your experiences and your thoughts. Because I think it's a great degree. I think it's something to have that, again, separates you from the pack, from a innumerable pool of candidates. And if this video gave you any kind of value or inspiration, please be sure to like, comment, or subscribe to my channel, because I'm going to be making many more videos just like this. And I'm going to continue these kinds of videos. And of course, you can always reach out to me personally. I love talking to people. I love discussing these things. I know how competitive it is out there. And how challenging it can be, the process of applying for a job. I know how daunting it can be and how difficult it can be. And I'm always open to speaking to people about this because I've been able to find success. And it's never come easy. It's never come without a ton of rejection. But when I have opportunities, I've seized them. And that's another conversation, as to seize them and to be compelling in job interviews, be well-spoken, be prepared. And I'm going to make more videos on all of these things. But again, if this video gave you value, I'd really appreciate if you liked, comment, or subscribed. And thank you again for watching.